So many trucks. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. Today, I wanted to do what I wanted to do for my 100th video, and that was do a little shop tour. As you can see, things have gotten a little bit prettier in the background there. I'm using a product from a company called Woodbox, and what those are real wood panels about 1/4 inch thick with self-adhesive backing. So I can create a whole pattern back there and give this room a bit more warmth and a bit more life and a bit more texture. I've also got a hue strip mounted behind one of the elements there, so I get a bit more light in the back as well. It's still a little bright up front. Obviously, I've got all my workshop lights on. It looks great. It brings some texture and some warmth into this room. It was a very bright space and it was really cold and didn't offer a lot of sort of, ambiance, I guess you could say. I just kind of wanted to take you through where I do my videos, where I do all my building, and where I have to keep all of my stuff because my wife won't let me have any of this stuff outside of my workshop. I think you'd be surprised at how small the space is, but also how effective I'm using that space. Okay, so let's get the camera off the tripod. I'm gonna show you the space as it sits now. I'm gonna show you all the projects I have on the go. Hopefully you'll get a little inspiration from all that. Let's do it. Okay, so that is my workbench. Just a sort of a standard sort of affair. I've put a background on there courtesy of SOR Racing. They do some excellent prints, and I wanted to have something back there that was sort of inspirational and always made me remember what website I ran. So yeah, that's what that is. Let's pull out a little bit here. That's what she said. And just get a look underneath, and you can see that I've got a lot of bins under there, and it's all just sort of random sort of stuff. There's scale accessories, drivers, clear plastic, wheels and accessories, styrene sheets, miscellaneous supplies. There's some markers, some cases, some Axial stuff over on that side. It's all neatly tucked away under there, so I always have access to it, and just seemed like a decent way of using that space. I've come over to the right here, and we've got a unit here that on the top shelf, we've got all my paint and stickers and so what do we got there? Adhesives like tape and such. All the radios there from old RCs or RTRs or what have you. I don't generally use those day to day, but never get rid of them because you never know when you might need one. Down on this shelf, we've got an associated SC10 and an Axial Yeti TT. A couple more remotes and stuff, some banners and such that I use when I travel. And on the final shelf down here at the bottom, a Yeti XL. Up on the top here, we've got a Vanquish Ripper that is being assembled right now. It's sort of a work in progress, and there's a bunch going on there that needs to be accomplished still, but this is a really killer truck, and I'm so super excited to have one, and there will be a build video coming soon. This DX5C is going to be running a lot of my current builds just because of the number of channels and ease of programming and simplicity in use. It's a killer radio. And I've got a review video on that radio, and I should do a follow-up on that soon. There's an old project there, an F-Toy. That's going to be going to a friend of mine out west. I'm going to be trading that for some metal work on another upcoming build. A Bort license plate, because my son is also named Bort. Got another of the same unit that I have on the right side. We've got some miscellaneous stuff in there and some supplies and tools for some projects that I'm working on currently. Down below, we've got 2 bins full of bodies. There's some interesting bodies in there. Down on the bottom shelf, that's where I keep most of my tools. There's some of my brazing tools in there. My air compressor is hidden back there. for airbrushing. And up on the top, not much. There's my TV and some awards up there in the corner. And then turning our attention over here, all my paint and building supplies and such are in there. Glues, adhesives, some airbrush cleaning material, some rubber gloves and masks. And there's all my bins for assorted gear, drivetrain, shocks, lubricants, lights, wheels, RC four-wheel drive hop-ups. Then we got an electronics kind of a catch-all. If it's electric or requires batteries or controls something, I usually throw it in there. Then a scrap styrene bin, which is very handy. And then a lot of larger format paint cans and glues and such down at the bottom there. This is where my honcho is sitting for now. And in this cupboard, look at all those tires. It's where I stick all of the tires I'm not using. I rarely, if ever, get rid of tires because you just never know, right? There's always a build or something that happens and you're like, ooh, I wish I hadn't gotten rid of those Super Swampers from 5 years ago. I don't know. It's surprising how little space is required to do all this stuff that I do in here, but I like my little tiny cave. Let's talk builds. One of my most favorite builds is this Toyota Landcruiser Fj60. This is a scratch-built body and interior, full interior. This was built, gosh, a few years ago now. Built on a TF2 from RC four-wheel drive with leaf springs, of course. It took about a year to complete. It's fairly accurate. There's a few things that if I could do it again, I probably would. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I've got the Pitbull PBX ATs on there. It's a good little 1.9 tire and very accurate and keeps full tuck as well. The reason we're able to accomplish that is, well, when this was built, my good friend and business partner here at the Scale Builders Guild, pardon my noob, narrowed a set of axles on his own. It's pretty crazy. It's hard to believe. One of my most favorite builds of all, for sure, without a doubt. And moving down, there's another TF2. This is a Marlin Crawler Edition TF2 RTR. I haven't done anything to it much in the ways of mechanics. It came out of the box working pretty darn well already. I did change out the body here and put on the cut doors as the real Marlin Crawler has, and of course there will be interior that goes in there as well. Marlin Crawlers are usually red, but I decided to paint this one yellow just to do something a bit different, a bit goofy. It's a nice bit of kit actually, straight out of the box. You don't really need to do much to it, but there will be a little couple of details here and there just to set it apart. Moving down a level, this is an SCX-10-2 that I've converted to a scale drivetrain, whatever you want to call it, courtesy of GCM Racing. That is a back piece to make this a Toyota Trekker, and that resin piece was molded by Pardon My Noob as well. There is an introduction video to this setup on the channel, and I'll make sure to link that in the description below. It's still going to require a fair bit of work. I'm not sure I'm going to get it done for this year. There's so many other things on the go, but we'll see. All the way at the bottom here is my Axial RR10 bomber. This one's been modified slightly. There's a few bits and pieces on there from Super Shafty and from Vanquish, but the driveline is fairly stock. I don't think I made any super modifications to it. I used this truck in the Ultra. It's the Ultra 5K. I've run that at Axial Fest, and I'll be running it again this year. This truck is super fun, and because it's fairly stock, it just works really well. Those are Proline Hyraxes, which is an excellent tire in its 2.2 size. I'm very, very pleased with it. I decided to put a ram body on there just to be a bit different, and I'm pretty happy with how it looks. It's pretty mean. Moving across, this was last year's Class 2 build, also an SCX-10-2, using the OG style transmission. Actually a super shafty bomb-proof trans is in there. Tekin powers this one. It was used a lot and abused, and you can see that a lot of actual rust and patina has developed, because I wanted all these parts from Scalar Fab to be raw and to actually do what it would do if you were using it a lot. And yeah, it's definitely seen better days, but it still works really, really well. And I set it up to be a very competition-oriented truck, but still maintain the realism and the looks as best I could. This is the Proline SR5 body using a skin from Freaky Skins. Neil did this one custom for me, and I know that if you ask him really nicely, he might let you have one of these as well. Going up a level, it's still a work in progress, but it does work. This is a scale accurate recreation of the Loco Hawk. And if you Google Loco Hawk, you will see basically what this is. This is something that I'm going to do a full build video on, because man, it's been so much fun to put together and to build. And there's a lot more going on in here that you don't see. It's a full steam powered truck. Yes, there's a battery to power the servos and the lights and such, but otherwise it's all locomoted by steam. And the build video on that is coming soon. Going up a level, oh gosh, hey, that looks like the new Axial Chevy C10. Yeah, that's cool, right? I've taped it all up in preparation for painting. The wheels are Vanquish methods, and running some Proline KO 2s on there. The wheels will give you a pretty good idea of what the paint scheme will be. Coming over to the left here, this is a Bruiser-based Hilux. This body you may recognize. This used to belong to Pardon My Noob as well. I used to run a white Hilux on this chassis, but when this came available, I had to snap it up. I just love the interior work and the bar work. It's just a classic, and very happy to have this in my collection. The white body that I had on there, it's moved on to another home, and I think they're pretty happy with it too. Coming down a level, another RC 4-wheel drive TF2. This is the LC70 body from, who's this from? Killer Bodies. On the back there is a CC hand or C-chand kind of a flatbed. It's a work in progress. I've got a 3D printed interior that I've detailed, and really honestly just need to put a floor pan in and I think we're done. This was a fun build for sure, and I think it demands a bit more attention. I should get it out there and actually use it. This is a GCM C-Max chassis waiting for a Toyota 4Runner body from MFab. It's a 3D printed 5th gen 4Runner, and I cannot wait to put that on there. It's really going to be a cool build. Not much to look at right now, but certainly more coming. There's my Traxxas TRX4 with Night Customs bits and pieces all over it. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that. It's a good looking build. It's a decent truck. It's not my favorite, and you guys know that already, but definitely worth showing off, and I'm happy with how I've sort of given it a bit of its own personality, and always good to show the fact that it has an interior. That's sort of key, isn't it? On to other things here. There's the Toyota Landcruiser half-track that I built last year for Axial Fest. What a goofy build, huh? It actually runs very well, though. It's impressive that something so odd works as well as it does. Yes, it's not a crawler per se, because these tracks are open diff, as a real half track would be. but it does look pretty good out there, and it performs as well as I would have expected it to. It was fun to weather and fun to put together, and it's a pretty crazy build, but definitely one of my more favorite ones. And finally, another Landcruiser 40 series RC 4-wheel drive Grande 2, pretty much stock, but this thing has taken a serious beating. Lots of abuse, lots of underwater adventures, lots of unintended sinkings, and it just keeps kind of trucking along. I did a lot of weathering, and I did a couple of interesting rusting techniques with this body, and you can see that if you look carefully there actually is rust coming through the paint. That's because it's all been kind of painted with Sophisticated Finishes rust paint before it was painted. So anytime I scrubbed away, and it's the same thing on this body here, anytime you scrub away or sand away any of that paint, that rust just comes through and actually physically rusts the truck. It's a really cool technique. Maybe even one I should do a little video on, because it definitely gives it a nice patina and gives it a really cool look. It's not very big. It's about 10 feet by 8 feet. I managed to make it work. It requires, almost a vigilant daily cleaning. Otherwise, things do get a little bit out of control. So that's it. That's the whole space. Should give you evidence that you don't need a huge workshop to get a lot of things done. I hope you got a little something out of this. It was fun for me to show it off and to show off all the projects I'm currently working on. If you have any questions, by all means, post it in the comments below. I'm happy to share all that information with you, of course. Cheers, and we'll see you again soon.